I was just talking about coordinate measuring machine, and that in reverse engineering and so on, this is a major. So here we are showing you, right, on one side a coordinate measuring machine with the part being measured. This is a coordinate measuring machine, and we put a part there, and then there is a probe and a probe adapter, and it can move in the Z direction, X direction, Y direction, and so forth, and it moves along all the pieces of the part and so on, and an image of the part. An image of the part is being created in the computer and so on. Here, a touch signal probe measuring the geometry of a gear. We have a gear, and you see each tooth of a gear is very special dimension, and especially this contour. This contour, when you go to machine design and study gears, especially spur gears, you will see that this surface is a very special angular surface called an involute. It is not a parabola, it is not a hyperbola, it is called an involute. But then this whole angle, right, because the whole surface is at an angle. So we touch here and here and here and here and here, and ultimately that that angular surface is regenerated, right? And here examples of laser probes, right? So that is later on, but this is a full coordinate measurement machine. They can be in 2-dimensional or they can be 3-dimensional. If they are 2-dimensional, they just measure the surfaces, but if they are 3-dimensional, then they are much more costly and so on. And here we are showing you that the probe that is here is now moving along here, and this is connected to the whole machine and so forth. Of course, the machine is very costly. And the operators who use these machines have to be specially trained, and they have to be very, very good. Otherwise, if they are not very specially trained and good, then the image that is created in the computer, in the memory, by using the coordinate measurement machine is not a very good image. So it always happens that if the equipment that you are using is a very costly equipment, generally its training is also very. Advantages, of course, right? It is we can just read through, but you know that higher productivity, right? CMM can perform complex inspection procedures in much less time than traditional manual methods. Greater inherent accuracy and precision, reduced human error, and versatility, more than one type. A CMM is a general purpose machine that can be used to inspect a variety of part configurations. You see, straight lines, round things, angles, all things in one machine, right? Otherwise you have, right, a vernier caliper is different, this is different, that is different, roundness measurement is different. So all these advantages are there. That human error is almost gone. Of course, if the operator is not very good, then human error will come. But if the operator is good, then measuring by hand, no human error here. The accuracy is absolutely higher level. The rate at which you can measure is huge, because you were using 10, 5, 6 different instruments, and here you are doing all of it in one place and so forth. So there are lots of advantages. The disadvantage is the cost. So the type of production that we are doing, does it justify this cost? Measurement with lasers is, of course, you know lasers, right? I mean, even astronomical distances, lasers, for example, are sent from here, a laser beam, it goes and hits the moon 300,000 plus kilometers away, and then comes back, and you can measure the distance. And you can, you know the laser pointer, you know, there are laser toys with children, they can make images and so on. So lasers are lasers. And if you remember, this is an acronym, LASER, light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, that is a laser, right? So it is for measurement. Are low power gas lasers that emit light in the visible range. Laser light beam is highly monochromatic because of a single wavelength, or highly collimated, very parallel. So these properties, that they are a single wavelength, so very accurate, and they are very parallel. So many applicants are using measurements and inspection and so forth. So if again the parts are to be very critical. As I said, aerospace parts, nuclear reactor parts, and so on, which have to be very accurate, or say in the army and so on, bullet parts and this, where the dimensions have to be ultra high accurate, then you can do inspection by scanning laser systems. You can just know that, you see, inside there will be a lot of electronic control, the optics of a laser, you know, in physics you have done lasers and so forth. So we know that scanning lasers will be there. And here you are just showing you, I mean, you see, this does not belong to a manufacturing class, that you see you have a laser producing thing which sends a laser beam, there is a rotating mirror, it goes through the lenses, the collimating lenses, right? So this is one lens, this is the other lens, this is your part. And once you do it, then its image and so on, it comes here and it is detected. And once it goes to the detection, then again, right, there is a dimension which is converted to a voltage. The voltage is again converted to a dimension, and you can directly read it on the digital readout. So there will be transducers inside, there will be lenses inside, there will be laser producing beam. So this is just a schematic. But yes, now you know that this is generally how the laser dimension measurement device will work and so on. So the dimensions will be very accurate and so forth, right? So this finishes the basic metrology part. Metrology is what? Remember, the science of measurement. And here science and technology of measurements, not just the science. Science means how it is done, and technology means what are the machines, equipment, tools that you use. So we have discussed a lot of different types of measurement instruments, from simple scales, right, just a scale that you use in your geometry box, to triangles, 2Ds, protractors, right, linear measurements, angular measurements, all those things, gauges, no gauges, up till coordinate measuring machines and laser scanning. So all this was metrology, how to do measurements. And as I told you, that my first job in the field was as a quality control inspector. So I was in a company where they were doing big fabrications for different projects. Sometimes you are building these steel structures for big bridges, sometimes the steel structure for big buildings, sometimes the steel structures for airports, right? So the drawings come from a design office which has designed that building, and now all the structural steel pieces are fabricated in our company. So there will be, right, straight pieces, flat pieces, plates, and then H beams, I beams, C sections, this, that. You cut them, drill them, weld them, and make them to the proper dimensions, and then you transport them to the construction site, and there they will use, the civil engineers will use the steel pieces produced by mechanical engineers, and then they will start constructing the building, right? So it means that I was doing all these type of measurements. Of course, I was not using toolmaker's microscope, and I was not using laser and CMM at that time. But all the other general measurement devices you use daily, and even some go, no go type of gauges. Now, just a little about dimensions and tolerances. All of you have done a full course on engineering drawing. So this chapter of dimensions and tolerances definitely is covered there. But very quickly, just to revise, related to measurements and quality. Factors that determine the performance of a manufactured product other than mechanical and physical properties include dimensions and tolerances. Dimensions means linear or angular sizes of a component specified on the part drawing, right? This is 5 inches in length. This is 1 inch in diameter, and so on. Tolerances, allowable variations from the specified part dimensions that are permitted in manufacturing. There is no machine in the world that would produce 100 pieces with exactly the same diameter of 1. No machine in the world, right? Some variations will be there. So at the time of designing, you already give the tolerances, that how much tolerances will be allowed so that the product functions completely well, and if there is any fitting of one part to the other, then they fit very properly, and that this product lasts a long time. So you give the dimension, that was the design dimension based on stress, strain, other calculations, right? But then you give some allowances. upper tolerances, lower tolerances, and this is big. That how do you do that? A lot of experience is required, right? So dimensions are to be there with tolerance. ANSI, can you gauge? Guess. American National Standards Institute. And this is the number of the standard. You see, everything in the engineering world is controlled by certain standards. There are big organizations in the world. The biggest now in the world is ISO, of course, International Standards Organization. But big countries that were technologically very advanced, like the USA and UK and Germany, had their own measurement standards. Like, so ANSI, American National Standards Institute. So all the products made by USA will have these dimensional standards from here. DIN are the German standards. BS, British standard, is the British one. There is now, alhamdulillah, in Oman, an Oman association for standards and so on. So this standard says what is tolerance. A tolerance is the total amount by which a specific dimension, height, width, depth, diameter, angle is permitted to vary. Right? So very simple language. The tolerance is the difference between the maximum and minimum limits. So this is the tolerance, right? So variations occur in any manufacturing process which are manifested as variations in the part size. Tolerances are unavoidable because it is virtually impossible and unnecessary to manufacture parts that have precisely the same dimensions. Tolerances become important only when a part is to be assembled or mated with another part, and tolerance can be specified in several ways. I keep on telling you, so I will spend an extra minute about that: quality, cost, and time. So you see, quality is important. If the quality is not good, then your product will not sell. But the quality is a range. You see, on the streets, you can have your Chinese cars, you can have your Korean cars, you can have your Japanese cars, and you can have the Rolls Royce. All of them are cars. All of them do exactly the same job, taking you from one place to the other. But what type of quality you want is described by the type of customer and the type of cost associated. So quality is there, but quality is a range already described by who will buy it at what cost. So now you want your dimensions to be accurate. But if you want to be very precise, then first the measurement effort will be very large. You will maybe inspect only 10 pieces per day and the day is gone. And you want to inspect 500 pieces per day. So the inspection cost will be very high. Then producing this to such a precise thing means very, very costly manufacturing machines and very slow manufacturing process. So if the part allows the cost to go to $100, then you do this. But if you have to produce it for for $5, $10, then you can't allow this. So therefore, tolerances, if you want to maintain exact dimensions, the cost and the time will be very high. So if you allow some tolerances which still guarantee that the quality is okay, the customer will definitely get it. But which allows some variation, then the tolerance is important, right? So cost, quality, time means that you don't give dimensions as 1 inch, as 2 inch, as 3 inches. You give dimensions with certain tolerance. Bilateral tolerance. As soon as there is a word bi, then two is there, two. So there are two things that are there in bilateral tolerances. So if you can see that, you see this diameter is 2.5 inch, but there is a plus 0.005 and a minus 0.005. So whenever you write tolerance like this, giving the upper and the lower limit, it is called bilateral tolerance. You can write it as 2.5 plus minus, both plus minus together, or you can write it like this separately, whichever way you like it. But whenever you specify both the upper and the lower limit, then it is called a bilateral tolerance, and normally this is the standard one in tolerance.